Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. This is 7 in favor of the Cowboys across the board. 50.5 is our total in this one. Steven, I'll start with you here on this game. I tucked the 7.5 away with the Packers in my account. As much as we have weather games this week, this of course is in Jarrah World, so we don't have to worry about that. It's in a dome. It's going to be nice, fast track, good conditions, so we don't have to worry about anything from that aspect. But we're sitting here, and I'm guilty. I guys, if you looked at the podcast from earlier this year and you heard me, there were disparaging comments about one Jordan Love, and that was me. I was doing it. That's my fault. Jordan Love came out and he stuck it up my ass here on the last little bit. And if you look, since week 10, Jordan Love was PFF's third graded passer in the NFL over the second half of the season. If you look at NFL and if you look at the NFL for EPA and CPOE composite, Dak Prescott, his opponent, was second. Jordan Love was third since week 10. Like, the dude has just figured it out, and he's done that. And it's even more of a hat tip because he's done it with his star receiver in and out of the lineup, and most of the time out of the lineup for this Packers squad. So I will concede. I was wrong about Love. I think he actually figured some stuff out here and can be an NFL quarterback, but that's neither here nor there. 7 points, total of 50.5. What say you?
I agree with everything you said about Love in this offense, and now they look pretty healthy coming into this game. Maybe even a chance that Christian Watson comes back. We'll see. If you believe that, and I believe that, I don't need a whole hand of fingers to count the number of games where I was interested in betting the over where the total started with a 5. And this is one of them. I love the over in this game, 50.5. I'm good with it because I don't need to go into a long analysis of why the Cowboys are going to score points in this game at home on the fast track in Dallas. We've been over that plenty of times this season, but I'll at least just mention that the Green Bay defense since week 14 has been putrid. They are 27th in EPA per play allowed. They are 26th in success rate. By drop back, they are 29th and 31st in EPA and success rate. And these are the quarterbacks that they faced in that stretch. The Giants quarterback, which I can't remember if it was DeVito or Tyrod, but either way, not great. Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young, a combination of Jaron Hall and Nick Mullins and Justin Fields. Good luck against Dallas this week in Big D.
It was Thomas Cutlets, by the way. Thomas Cutlets, and they lost that game.
Tommy, I live with my mom still cutlets, and she makes my bed. Yeah, so the metrics have not been kind to Green Bay down the stretch here by any stretch of the imagination. I think we're going to get a ton of points in this game. And even if Dallas gets up a couple of touchdowns here, I think the back door is always open. So I don't know if a 7.5 is going to come back. I bet 7.5 as well, Matt. If it does, I would advise everybody to bet it. But if not, I think 7 is still, you can make a case for it. And I think the over looks really juicy here, in my opinion.
In a game in which I think that there could be a massive amount of variance given the amount of scoring and the scoring environment, I will take 7.5 points and maybe even 7 points for a team that I think is going to do a lot of that scoring as well. It's just, for me, it's worked out well for me in the past when I expect a lot of variance. And if you take a look, and Adam, I think we've beat this over the head a ton here on this podcast, but the Dallas defense can be had. It's not like this is an impenetrable force or anything like that. And if you kind of go into what the Packers have been able to figure out here over the second half of the season and doing it with guys like Dontavian Wicks and Bo Melton and all these guys, like it's pretty impressive, actually. But as impressive as the offense been, the defense has been as equally unimpressive. So I'm with Steven here. Like, if I was playing this game, I would only play over. There's zero chance I'm putting an under ticket in my account. Wouldn't surprise me if this came down to kind of last team with the ball type thing.
It's interesting you bring up the idea of wanting the points with the variance, because I think the traditional thinking goes, the higher the total goes, the less the points matter, right? Now, I understand exactly where you're coming from, though, because we're saying, is Green Bay 7.5 points worse than Dallas? And is that Dallas home field worth 1.5, 2? I don't know, whatever you make it, right? Like, on a neutral, are we essentially saying that these teams are 5.5 to 5 points apart? I don't know that they are with the way the Green Bay offense is playing right now. Now, that said, do I want any part of the Green Bay defense in a handicap? No, I don't, especially with Jair Alexander coming up a little lame in practice today. What I do want in this game, however, is the second half of my teaser. And God willing, Mike McCarthy will not find a way to make me want to bang my head against a wall come Sunday, because to me, to be able to get the Cowboys down to 1 in essentially a money line situation, I feel like that should be safe. But I say that with like my eyes looking around the room, like, is it really safe? Did I double check the locks? Like, is it really going to be something I can count on come Sunday? I'd like to believe that it is, because the one reliable thing in this game is that Dallas's offense all year long, unless it is facing an elite beat you up defense, has been on top of the world. This is not that defense. Whatever you think of the Packers defense, it ain't a defense that is going to smash you in the mouth, which has been when Dallas really struggles. So I will take this as the second half of the teaser that I like, with the Houston Texans out to 8. And I will just cross my fingers and find all my rabbit's feet to hang on to come Sunday.
Matt, can I put some numbers on why he's so scared? The Cowboys, in that same span that we were concerned about the Packers defense, are 27th in drop back success rate defensively. We already know Diggs has been out for the whole year. Now Stephon Gilmore has popped up on the injury report, went from DMP to limited on Wednesday to Thursday. So now we're potentially looking at a banged up number 2. If he can't go or has to leave the game, you're down to your number 3, 4, and 5 cornerbacks, with a quarterback who's facing, by the metrics, a disappointing pass rush for the Cowboys, even though they have Micah Parsons, and a healthy offensive line for Green Bay that has been among the elite in pass block win rate. So that's probably why Adam's scared.
Yeah, if we look here, what is fairly interesting to me is I don't think that we would have thought, if you look at this Green Bay defense, the one thing that they actually do well is get pressure on the quarterback. And so they could at least hit Dak a few times, maybe get Dak off his spot, maybe do just enough to keep this thing within a touchdown. If you look, guys, this is going to be no shock to anyone that's been following stuff like this. Tyron Smith graded out as the best blocking tackle in the NFL, pass blocking tackle in the NFL this year. Don't get freaked out by him and Zach Martin showing up on the injury report. It is nothing more than veteran rest days for those dudes. They don't need to practice. Trust me. Those guys know how to play offensive line. So don't worry about that with those dudes. Another thing when I was digging in, I thought was fairly interesting. If we're looking, guys, we know CeeDee Lamb is the star of this offense, but weirdly over the last few weeks, Brandon Cooks has carved out like a 20% target share for this team and has basically kind of old manned his way into the number 2 role here for this team, because it didn't work out with everyone they were trying to make the number 2. Gallup didn't work out. Tolbert didn't work out. Like, all these guys didn't work out. And so it's like, okay, Brandon Cooks and your 31-year-old ass get in there and go get it done. And he's actually has gotten it done. And so just, if you're looking for, we know it's fun to play some SGPs every now and then. We know that it's like, if you want to sit and you just want to have some action that you can kind of kick back and chill on, he might want to be a part of any sort of SGP action for you. His total's pretty low as it is anyway. It's only 40.5 yards. You can find out there. You can find a 39.5 actually on his receiving prop. And if you're getting 20% of Dak Prescott's targets in a game with a 51 total that we think has a chance to go over, 40 yards is nothing, right? And so that's something to kind of take into consideration as well. What you think about, Adam?
I just want to clear up what Steven brought up before, because he gave a number of stats. The reason that I am worried about my parlay is Michael John McCarthy of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That is it.
Also a good reason.
On the Packers side of things, if Watson is not able to go, guys, Bo Melton, 71% of routes for this team while Watson's been out. 24% target share in week 17, 74% of the routes, 22% of the targets in week 18. So Bo Melton is getting his. Dontavian Wicks in week 18 ran routes on 79% of the dropbacks. He got a 22% target share as well. I think where I'm going with this is like, hey, don't bet on one dude to go nuclear, because it seems like Jordan Love is okay with spreading it around, spreading the love, if you will, there in that offense.
No.
Yeah. So it's he's giving the dudes that are open the ball. He's not favoring any one guy. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're putting together. Yeah.
We will have a Packers anytime touchdown post on the site that allows you to shop those prices on some of these ancillary offensive pieces all in one place to make sure you're getting the best price. So go to the site and check that out if you would like to, because I've seen crazy differences in prices when it comes to guys like Bo Melton and Wicks over the course of the season.
Yep. And that's as good a time as any to remind people that you go to the lines on the homepage, dead center, there's a green button. It's a prop finder. Go in, make sure that you are getting the best number on the prop whenever you go to bet on any of these dudes. It'll show you the number. It'll show you the book. It'll also show you the juice. Maybe it's worth taking an extra yard to save yourself 20 cents in juice. So just be sure, do that shopping, and make sure you're being smart about putting the props into your account.